Just from a chief of police standpoint, I will tell you, I've been in the office for 5 weeks. I've had a whole series of briefings. I've been out on patrol. In fact, on patrol was with Kevin and his team. Some of the guilty suspects are all there. I say guilty suspects, so they're guilty of 2 things. Being incredibly dedicated to their responsibilities of the neighborhood police team that does work in this area, and incredibly passionate about working with you, the community. I saw firsthand how dedicated they are. We actually effected, I think, 3 arrests, 2 separate investigations in an hour's time. But at the same time, literally in the middle of investigations, I saw officers interacting with young kids, being proactive in trying to build a relationship, sharing what little resources they actually had on their time, on their person, with requests that were coming in the middle of an active investigation. We're actually in the middle of securing a vehicle and the person who was being investigated while I saw my officers actually interacting. That for me as a chief of police and someone who's new to Ottawa coming in is firsthand validation of the responsiveness of the officers and the professionalism and their care and due diligence towards the community, and in fact a young child in the community. It's very rare that I actually have that window into the work of the officers. I hope you know by now, but I'll restate as well. This is not just a response to crime. This is a proactive investment into the community that goes well beyond crime. It goes into community safety. Yes, it's around crime, but it's also around safety of young people, safety of our elderly, safety of our schools, safety of our roads, safety of our parks and our green spaces. It goes into issues of mental health and addictions. So when we say safety, it's much more than just the crime piece, although we are focused on the violent crime piece. The officers coming in here know that their responsibilities go well beyond investigating crimes, arresting people, and prosecuting. That is an important part of the job that goes well beyond that. And again, I've seen firsthand their investments that they're making in that area. And their investments are successful because, quite frankly, they've done in partnership with you. And we'll hear a little bit more about that from Kevin and his team. Obviously, crimes do happen. Guns go off, bullets fly, people are injured and killed. And that is predominantly the reason why Councillor Dean's reached out to me. Her staff has kindly arranged for this meeting to take place while we're here. And so you're going to hear from Inspector Cartwright, who oversees our investigative operations, and in particular this operation. And he will give you as fulsome an update on what's going on. This isn't a presentation, though, by the way. It is going to ultimately be a conversation, because after we finish talking, you're going to ask questions of us. We're also going to ask questions of you. We have requests to make of you. In order for this community to be safe, for the city to be safe, it can't just be on the backs of the men and women in blue. Ultimately, this has to be a partnership, and it has to be a joint effort. I will tell you that my experience around gun and gang and drug-related crime is that the majority of them don't get solved by frontline officers. They ultimately get solved by community members who come forward with material information. They provide evidence, which leads to the successful identification of the suspect or suspects, and then they're willing to step up and come to court and provide first-hand testimony, which allows for a successful prosecution. No matter how hard my officers work, if there's not a reciprocal amount of bravery and courage and integrity on your part, we won't actually solve the problems that we're facing. And right now, without taking too much thunder from the inspector, one of our biggest problems is people coming forward, or in this case, not coming forward. Just plant that seed in your minds.